'Tis the season to feel morally conflicted. Christmas is coming, the geese are getting fat, and nobody is fucking body shaming them this year. It is 2019, it is soon to be 2020. Christmas is around the corner, and should we be doing Christmas in the way we've always done Christmas? Global, change is universal, but change is also incredibly personal and can be incredibly gradual. So I'm here to talk about some ways I am modifying my Christmas in light of all the things that I've learned this year about the end of the world and potentially the beginning of the new one. Let's not freak out. Remember the positive panic episodes. It could be fine, but when it comes to presents, I am incredibly conflicted about how I'm going to express myself whilst trying to shimmy and duck under the banner of evil capitalism. So I made a list for myself and actually then realised I was writing a video script of all the things I could get people that I think might be a little bit better than the things that I would automatically get them. Obviously the best thing for the planet is that we all live in caves and turn off all the lights immediately and never show our affection with objects ever again, but failing that, here are some ideas of things that you can do to still show people you love them at Christmas, potentially give them physical things, and at least act like you kind of learned something this year. First off, there's a big one, guys. I was shocked when I heard this, and it's okay if you are too. We can deal with it together. I'm not fucking with you here. Wrapping paper is not recyclable. Yeah, I really genuinely wish I was screwing with you. But unless it's a specific kind of uncoated wrapping paper, like that really boring brown wrapping paper you can get in post offices, you know, the stuff. If it's got laminate, if it's got glitter, if it's got anything like that, if it's in any way shiny, it's not only not recyclable, but if you put it in your recycling, you can contaminate the whole street's recycling. If you live in the UK like me, they don't sort the recycling by house or by flat. No. They push it all in one lorry and it goes by street. Now, if one thing in that lorry is contaminated or is dirty or anything, the whole thing gets chucked into landfill. So we're all going to have to sit on the fact that for maybe decades we have been fucking up our whole street's recycling by trying to recycle our wrapping paper. I strongly advise that you just don't buy any. If that feels undoable to you, I would highly suggest the brown wrapping paper. Get some felt tips, go mad on it, maybe even buy a nice ribbon that people can keep and use again. But here are some other ideas. In anticipation of this moral dilemma, I have been keeping little fabric bags that I've had around. I've got some tote bags. I've got these silky bags that I got from when I buy Lucy and Yak products. They give you them in these little bags that are made out of recycled saris. This is a tote bag I've been saving. Actually, I really like this one. I might not give this one away. This is actually an old placemat I got from a charity shop. They can all be used to wrap presents, and I'll link some ways that you can wrap them and tie them up. Use some nice string, again, as I said, a ribbon that somebody might keep and use again, or encourage them to. You can also make your own from old clothes that you don't think are worth giving to the charity shop. You can buy these squares of fabric that are gorgeous from Lush. These are about £5. I hope enough of these will be floating around the world in 5 years that you will have enough in your house to just use and wrap for people. So I consider the £5 an investment at this point. Oh, look, it matches my shirt. Think about those very small moments where you give somebody a present and they don't know what it is, and then they immediately do. That is the tradition of presents. Is it worth having those 3 seconds for that paper to be in the ground forever? Probs not. So just whack a ribbon on it if you want. Use some newspaper because that's recyclable. To decorate newspaper, you could cut out little coloured bits of paper and stick them on. Or, I'm just being radical here, probably what our ancestors used to do. Do the whole like close your eyes and hold out your hands trick. It's amazing. Anyway, on to the presents. Now, the obvious thing is clothes. I try and think of stuff that people might buy themselves anyway in the future. So stuff like really good quality socks. I know it's boring, but it works. If you know them well enough, some really nice ethical underwear. My favourite brand is the Nude label. Everything is made in Spain. I think I've had a lot of my pieces for over a year now and they haven't really worn at all. They're really high quality and they feel like a nice little treat. They also come in their own little gifted tote bags, so you don't need to worry about wrapping. For my brother and my sister-in-law's wedding presents, I bought them both pairs of Lucy and Yak dungarees that they wore on their honeymoon, super sweet. And I know they're things that will last a long time and will keep forever, and they were a really nice kind of big gesture as something that's physical that you can hand over that I really like. So think carefully about the kind of brands that you buy for if you are buying physical clothing. And we're really over novelty clothing gifts at this point. Like, if you can't just tell somebody a good knock joke, you have to express your elevated level of humour with a piece of clothing. I think maybe you need to reassess your own comedy skills. Ecotools. Now, Ecotools aren't the answer for everything, and I think that, as I've said in Positive Panic, often they can be a little bit of a booby trap to make us feel like we're doing more than we are. But I do think it's a good habit to get into, even to the point where we're all going to have to get used to it anyway, because we're just not going to be allowed to use plastic very soon. I'm somebody at the moment who is somebody who would go out and buy an Ecotool, like a keep cup or bamboo cutlery or a metal straw. But there are lots of people who do think about those things and understand what they are, but they're not necessarily at the point where they go out and buy it for themselves. So it's a nice gesture. Let me show you one of the things I've got. Especially if somebody has commented on something that you have that's an Ecotool that they like throughout the year. I try and make the habit of then going out and making a note of that or buying it so that I can give it to them, and I know that it's something they'll use and like because they've commented, even if they haven't bothered to go out and get it themselves. So this is the 24 Bottles brand that I use. I have a really small one because it fits in my pocket. It's something that I can just use on the go, and I'm often in places where I can refill bottles. But my friend George, hopefully you're not watching this video, George, recently commented on my bottle and was like, oh, I really like that bottle, that's so nice, it's such a good size, it's so useful, it's really nice quality, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, interesting, George, interesting. So I went out and bought him one. It's really small, it's really durable. I know he's somebody who keeps things a long time, so I'm really hoping he's gonna like that. And it also has the like connection where I'm like, I remember that you really liked mine and I thought that you'd like it and I picked this colour for you. There's also that element to it. They're not just making it a moral judgment that's like, I bought you these Ecotools so you can be as cool as me, by the way, save the planet, yeah. Making it a personal connection, making it a thoughtful gift and not just automatically buying everybody the same thing. Ecotools is an option with caution. I've often been known to make up these silly packages of things, mainly of stuff I already have around, but that has a lot of thought behind it. This is one I made for my friend Teddy. It was like a little box of different things. They posted a picture of it. I think it was like a used envelope I used, but I put loads of like stuff in it, so it made it look really nice. I put some eco glitter in the envelope. Basically, the concept is it's a collection, a little kit, whether that's a getting on with it kit, feel great kit, and stuff like that. I called it Gumption Kit. Of little things that are personal, that are kind of silly, things that you already have about that symbolise something, and things that have a bit of symbolic meaning or use. So I had one motivational book with inspirational quotes in it, 200,000 bits of glitter. I think that was eco glitter. I hope it was. Buy eco glitter if you're going to buy glitter. Or if you can't find eco glitter, get edible glitter. Anyway, some tea from Aberystwyth. I had a little like sack of tea from Aberystwyth, magical Welsh properties. Some US left-wing propaganda. What was that? Oh yeah, I had a Free Melania button that I found around. A literal helping hand. I had a little plastic hand. Don't ask me where I got that from. A person screaming on your behalf so you don't have to. Please name them. It was just a little cut out from a magazine of a woman screaming. A toy soldier to protect you. The Jägermeister was a shot I would have bought you had I been there. So I've made that a few times for different people. Sometimes they've had little energy shots in them. Glass jars of jam. Hairbands, because nobody can ever find hairbands when they're having a bad time. Silly little things really, but don't sometimes one big thing that you get wrong or that you're not sure about isn't as considered as really putting together something fun for somebody to open, and it can have little in-jokes in it, bits cut out from magazines. It doesn't have to be expensive. Basically what you're trying to communicate is that in this busy hellish time of December, I made a little space in my head to think about you. This one I don't have, but I saw a friend give it. I saw somebody give it to one of my friends, right, and I was like, oh, this is such a good idea. So basically they had like a stiff cardboard bag, kind of like you get at like a fancy shop, but every now and then you might have one lying around that somebody gives you, or you can, you know, source a nice little bag and buy all the ingredients for a meal that somebody might want. So this was like a really nice pasta thing. I think it had a bit of like fresh bread in it, some really nice, the fancy pasta, some really nice cheese, lots of, you know, a nice peppercorn grinder, things like that were all like in there, so somebody can make a really simple meal, but everything that was in there was a little bit more of an upgrade from like kind of Asda Smart Price kind of food, things that you might not buy for yourself but are just like a simple meal. You can also do this if you're vegetarian or vegan and you want to show people how to cook stuff, and you can either physically handwrite a little recipe down for them that's personalised, or you can just print one off, that's alright too, but something that's like, hey, a little night in, you can cook yourself, it's all there, and it's not stuff that you try and avoid plastic packaging if possible, obviously. It's a little something that somebody would have bought themselves anyway, but it gives you like that space in your head to be like, okay, I know what the ingredients are, I know what I'm cooking, and almost like a kind of like personalised HelloFresh moment. Yeah, like basically a little cook night in kit. It's really sweet. And then we're getting on to the classic no physical element gifts. I've got people cinema tickets and cheekily bought them too and been like, bring me. I've often got a nice pen and done some swiggly handwriting on like a coloured bit of spare paper and been like, one voucher to have a night in with me, including cake and watching your choice of film and this thing, and then really followed up with it. Once they open the present or you give them the present, you immediately get your diaries out and you're like, okay, that's when we're going to do it. I'm going to bring around all the marshmallows. It's going to be amazing. So really just silly presents like that, especially if you know the person, can mean a lot, especially if you spend a lot of time on that little piece of paper. It doesn't look like a last minute thing. If you do want to give somebody something small and physical, this is something that Craig got me last year. It's a Red Letter Days gift, so you do get this kind of little nice envelope thing that I'm definitely going to use again. Mine was a Bridget Jones tour of London, which I'm going on next year, and I'm so excited. Let me know if you would like me to vlog that experience. But that's a really nice little thing that's small, it doesn't take up much waste really, and it's a nice kind of physical memory to give somebody, and it gets them out of the house, gets them walking. I love a walking tour. I'm actually kind of a little bit of an old person when it comes to that. I've been on quite a lot of London walking tours. I'll leave the link to the ones that I usually go on, but the one around Marylebone is great, and I also recently really enjoyed the one around Embankment. If you're into that. Those of you who follow me on Instagram know that I'm a massive YHA fan, so I'm always up for getting somebody YHA vouchers with maybe a little printout of some recommendations of like nice YHAs to stay in. My top fave 3: Ilam Hall, Hartington Hall, and the Whitby hostel. You can get them from like £13 a night, so really giving somebody like 30, 40, 20 quid can pay for a couple of nights away, and that's really nice. And you're encouraging them not to fly, you're encouraging them to go on holiday in this country. See what I did there? Can Lena get her zine, Doom Rod and Glitter, into one more video? Probably. Before becoming completely insufferable, buying people's art is a really cool way of spreading the word about them, but also something just that's different, that's really thoughtful. So if you have a creator that's made something, whether that's a bit of like ethical merch or it's a bit of art like Doom Rod and Glitter, which is a poetry collection I made. This is only a £5, by the way, and I've still got some behind me. Can you see? Can you see? I'll link my video where I talk about some of my favourites below. But something that's you can't get everywhere, that's a little bit unique, a little bit special, is really nice. I think poetry in general is a really nice gift, especially if it's one that you like and you can almost annotate and put little tabs of your favourite poems in. It doesn't put a lot of time pressure on somebody who doesn't have a lot of time to read. It's something that they can just kind of pop in their bag and be reminded of you. It's a really, really nice gift. And buy it from an independent bookshop if you can, please, God. Or if not, Guardian Books. I'd also like to make the point, but I think it should be totally acceptable to give somebody a second-hand book. If you go into bookshops, especially in kind of like bookish areas where book reviewers live, you can find a lot of new hardback books, or at least not very well read. And it's nice to give something second-hand, I think, especially if it's got like a bit of history to it. And why not buy those little stickers you can stick on the inside that you can dedicate to them and make it theirs. But I think we should bring back the second-hand book as gift, and that's okay, kind of thing. And then there is, of course, the obvious thing that really would help the planet, and that is buying them a copy of the Extinction Rebellion book. I recently read it. It's called This Is Not a Drill. I found it incredibly useful, incredibly accessible. All the essays are really short, and I want to make a bigger video on that very soon, because I think it's a resource that isn't being utilised enough yet. So I'm definitely going to be buying that book for people this year. Oh, and here's another idea that I want to do when I've learnt not to be a plant murderer, is I'd really like to repot plants for people. So have my own plants in my house, but then get some smaller pots, and you know, in the run up to Christmas, repot little parts of them and make little plants for people and then give them to them, because then you've spent months thinking about them, which is really sweet, and it's also one of your plants, and then you can tell them how to look after it and give it a little name and a little inscription. I think that'd be really sweet. If only I wasn't a natural plant murderer, things would be perfect. Are you worrying about Christmas this year? How are you turning your panic into positivity when it comes to Christmas, and how you're handling it, especially with all the waste coming around? I'm going to try and have a meat-free Christmas. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I want it to. I'm going to try and talk more to people I see at home about how I feel about the planet, even though it's like awkward and can be a bit of a downer. Finding like little ways to be like, hey, here's what I'm thinking about. Are you thinking about that? But yeah, I think it is a struggle. So if you've got any tips of things, of like good ideas for presents that you can give to people this Christmas, or ways that you can still integrate your positive panic into your Christmas, then let me know below. I think I'm going to be making more positive panic episodes that are a little bit more lo-fi like this one in future, as well as my more broad speaking video essays. This video is free and it was gifted to you by the lovely members of the Gumption Club. If you would like to become a Gumption Club member, you can click below to find out more a little bit about that. You can join for as little as $1, and we have a right crack. It is a lot of fun in the Gumption Club. Thank you so much for watching. Links to buy my poetry zine are below as well if you would like that. And yeah, Merry fucking Christmas.